Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show, the show that is not for entertainment purposes only. Today we are going to be talking about similar to some of the stuff we were speaking about last Friday, except for I'm going to try to explain. I got some conditioner in my hair, my beard. I'm going to try to explain or look at the conditions or the attributes that may be at place uh, in order for telepathy on a large scale uh, to happen. Not just telepathy, but the you'll have to just see when I get into it and try to explain everything. Um, but first, before we do that, let's say hello to everybody we have here today. First off, as you can see, lower left, we have Miss Kim here with us. She's over here. You can't quite see her off camera. She's helping us here. She's taking care of the comments and numerous other things, communications. And so thank you, Miss Kim, for being here, my darling.
You are welcome.
And we have also our co-host here with us as well. And we have two Leslies down below again. um, but yeah, Leslie is here with us as well. She is helping us or be in training to help us with the green room because we are going to likely open the panel up for anyone to be able that wants to join us and talk about some of this conversation, this attempt at further understanding of some supernatural things. Okay. But we have with us also my co-host Shannon. She is in the lower right, as you can see. And Shannon, what in the supernatural is going on, and what happened after the show the other day again?
Well, turns out I had another little beautiful orb passing through, but this time, as it happened, Miss Kim was like, "I saw it too, Miss Shannon," and I was like, "Woo!" It was pretty cool.
Caught a glimpse of it out of the corner of my eye. I seen it come across. It was pretty bright.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh.
and I would say that it's likely angelic in nature or something along those lines. It's absolutely supernatural and multi-dimensional, likely that kind of thing. Most people don't understand what the orbs are that everybody's seeing in the sky, and I've tried to explain many times. And that conversation may come up in this conversation, but it's not directly related. Hello, Susan Donahue. Good to see you here from San Francisco coast. Always enjoy you here. And our brother Max is in the house as well. Big Bird Truth Co-op. The fifth seal is opened, which I can't pronounce your name there, brother, but appreciate all y'all guys. Joseph, Jamie. Yeah, thank all y'all guys for being here so quick. We also have Roxy here with us again, our truth ambassador.
Hey now.
If you don't mind, Roxy, you were telling me about. You have to understand, guys. We're trying to learn. We're trying to figure out things. Okay. Last show we talking about telepathy and supernatural abilities that I think that human beings likely had and may still have the ability to use, but there may be rules in which we have to use these things. You think about it. You think about the clothes that we wear that may or may not enhance or inhibit the vibrational connection and frequency we have to the world. The same thing with our rubber-soled shoes. We're not grounded to Mother Earth, as you might call it, or whatever you want to call it. You're not grounded. And therefore, if you're not grounded to the circuit which is our entire world, WHRLED, if you're not grounded and connected to it, how do you expect to be able to accomplish some of the things? What did God tell Moses to do with his shoes when he was on top of the mountain and in communication with God, telepathically and supernaturally? He said, take your shoes off, didn't he? And I think that goes further. Another thing they used to do a lot was wash a lot. And you never heard of them putting lotions on their body. Like, what are these lotions for, really? Of course, they make money selling them to us. They also get our skin addicted to it, so it's more dry if we don't use it after we've been using these things. Y'all ladies don't know what I'm talking about, probably. But I'm thinking the lotions, there may be a darker, deeper thing possibly behind some of it. So we got the lotions, we got our clothing we've got to look at, we've got our shoes we need to look at. Are we trying to connect, or are we not? And that's interesting too. I'm thinking about the times I went to the beach and had the angels show up, and then there were times they wouldn't show up, and I'm wondering.
Well, this will tell you what the ocean will do. Do you know that if you have high blood pressure, you can go and sit on the sand by the ocean, and within 20 minutes, your high blood pressure will be back to regulated and normal?
I would imagine, yeah, the frequencies and everything, the power that's there is massive, and taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the sand and being connected. And I'm wondering if I was, because sometimes I would go down there and I wouldn't have no shoes on, or I'd take my shoes off and leave them at the heel and walk down in the sand some. And other times I didn't. And I'm wondering, could it be possible that that has anything to do with whether I was able to get angels to show up in front of me? And yes, I've had, for you, those of you that might be new, yes, I've had angels show up in front of me many, many, many times, and in front of Miss Kim. And I've told the stories many times, so I'm not going to get into all that right now. You can go find it on my channel, or I may cover it again here real soon. But so let's talk about the attributes of this world, and like with the pyramids and how we talked about on Friday, how they have the pyramids, and they have the pyramid on the dollar with all C and I, which means communication. It means being able to see it, everything, and being able to control everything. I think it's also has something to do with telepathy. There's a company called Pantier. What's it called? I texted y'all guys the other day.
Panteri.
Huh?
Pantera. Pantera. Hang on, I'm looking at the text. I know what you're talking about. The AI.
Yeah. It's a company that J.D. Vance is a board member of, the VP, right? And it's based on knowing everything. It's based on having like a crystal ball, a little, in the movie The Lord of the Rings, I think it was, they called it, that was the name of it. It was this crystal ball that they would look into, and they would be able to see any and everything that they wanted to see. It was an all-seeing crystal ball. And Pantera or whatever it's called is a company where they're just doing exactly that. And now we have the new Stargate AI, and we have the Gateway program that's still going on in the schools. And we have all this stuff that's all pointing towards the fact that they're doing everything they can to get inside of the minds, not just a little bit by like television and brainwashing, but all the way into the temple, which Palantir. That's it. Palantir. Yeah, if you look it up, it's got a circle around with a upside down pyramid below it like this, or it looks like an open book almost, or hands possibly, but it's a a circle. And if you look a little bit further into it, they admit it has to do with the Palantir from the Lord of the Rings and the all-seeing eye and that kind of a thing. But I'm more interested right now in keeping all that kind of thing in mind and maybe talking about some things that most people don't realize, and not like I just realized that it's taken me many years of study and meditation and praying and everything to be able to understand some of these things. What I'm saying is, if we look at for instance, Tesla's Long Island complex that he built there, I can't think of the name of it, and then you look at the pyramids around the world, they all have some similar attributes. There's an attribute of that there is current that is flowing nearby, whether it be and also underneath water. So we have the flowing of water or the flowing of current. And where you have flowing of water, it generates electricity, or the flowing of wind, which is water in a gaseous state. And like, if I'm thinking back about, forget how many years it's been now, but when Paradise out in California caught on fire, and I dove into that completely. Excuse me, guys. Because it was my belief that there was something fishy there, and I wanted to understand how it was done. And you would think, well, that sounds like a crazy feat to try to understand, but I already understood some things, but I dove into it, and what I come to understand is that and I've got a little video here I'm going to show you as well, but what I come to understand is that our world has an energy flow, not just above us, okay, but also below us. It's called a terrestrial standing band wave. You can actually Google it and see a lot of discussions about it. And it's literally just energy that's flowing under the ground naturally. And in some places where energy crosses energy, you have what's called a node. And if you look at the way that this world, like Washington, D.C., New York, and the Vatican, and Paris, and France, and how they've chosen to lay the streets out. They've chosen to lay like in Paris, all the basilicas, the Catholic basilicas, they're all laid out exactly in the image of their placements, are the stars that are in Virgo in the heavens. Most of us know that Orion, if you look at the pyramids in Egypt, you start to realize that Orion, the three biggest pyramids are Orion's belt. And then there's the smaller three pyramids, which are what looks like a weapon or something else hanging off Orion's belt between his legs. And the people of many, many, many eons ago understood, obviously, the way the energy flows in this world. And I think in order for us to stand a chance at understanding our ability to communicate without words, like the way God does with us, we pray, we talk to God, we're communicating telepathically with God. And I've heard his words before, so I know for a fact it's a real thing. So we've got current flow, we've got the pyramidal shape, which represents something more than just a stack of bricks. It represents, because of the materials that it's made out of, they're all perfect, exact materials that they built the pyramids out of, have a lot to do with crystals and energy flow. And then if you look at something that is, you might say, more holy, like the Ark of the Covenant. You come to find out that the Ark of the Covenant is the box itself is made out of a wood. It's called acacia wood. Acacia wood has special energetic attributes, and then they inlaid it with gold. Okay, and then they had the two cherubims, the thing with wings on each side, and right in the middle was where God showed himself, whether it was in an angelic ball of light form or what. I don't know. I wasn't there. We only have the records to reference. Yeah, Ward and Cliff. Yeah, Susan, thank you for that. Hey, guess who just popped in down below?
Yep, I see him. I sent him a link.
The fax is in the house.
Yeah, Max. Max is wanting a link to the room. We don't have the stage open yet for everybody to come in. We kind of got a pre-planned show today. We're going through the green room, so
Yeah,
give us a little bit when the floor opens up.
we'll open up the door here in just a little bit. Hang out down there for just a few more minutes, fax, until I can get through kind of the overview here, and we'll bring a couple of y'all guys up. So what I'm wanting to do is, and I don't have all these answers, but what I'm wanting to do is explore the attributes, looking back at what we know about history in the past. Of course, most of what we know is a deception and lies, but we'll do our best. We know that there, like in Wardenclyffe, there was they put what's the word I'm looking for, Roxy, the big pedestals. Like they have
My brain just went blank.
your brain's froze too.
Yep.
Lovely. Like the big pillars,
Yeah.
and then had the coil, the serpent wrapped around them, running down into the water, and that was the design. And it's similar to what they claim they have found in Egypt right now underneath the pyramids. It's very, very similar.
And it almost looks like they're all inserted into some type of battery pack at the bottom.
Yeah, there's something to be understood there as well.
And then it goes another 2 miles beyond that.
Oh, Lord.
You talking 2 miles, you talking
Obelisk.
10, 12,000 feet? We talking at the depths that you would drill for oil. Well, all right, fossils run out at, I think, approximately 16,000 feet, and you have to drill below that fossil layer to even get to crude oil. So this is one of the reasons that people say oil is fossil fuel. No, you got to go way past fossils. This is not dinosaur juice. It's way down there. It's in the 20,000. So between the depth of the actual columns, the batteries, and then the 2 miles down, you're down in an area that they would drill for oil.
Yeah, way down there. Yeah.
Way down there, yeah.
So we want to keep that in mind and try to identify other attributes. If you call a certain depth into the earth an attribute, or a certain height above the ground level an attribute, because the pyramids obviously went up very high, and they also, with what they were claiming they found, they went down very, very low, just like Wardenclyffe. And they all have these obelisks, and they have, in the case of Wardenclyffe and the pyramids, they're saying is they're coiled like a Tesla coil. And there are going to be, we should be able to identify other attributes that are present there, like I was talking about, like the Ark of the Covenant. Everything about the Ark of the Covenant was chosen very specifically because of its energetic attributes. Okay, like the wood, acacia wood, and like the gold that was inlaid on it, and everything. Okay, so
I wanted to take note on something, with the obelisks and, down into the earth and, all of these things with this type of obvious hidden technology that came from something, you know what I'm saying? don't there's all the stuff about the black goo that we had referenced before, and how in these instances with like the pyramids and certain other said structures, I guarantee you that black goo had a part in all of that kind of thing. And what we understand it to be is a sentient type of demonic thing. So that's part of that construct. But in our case, in tapping into what God has given us, we have the Holy Spirit and these other things that God has given us in a natural way to help open up our vibration to God specifically, and not control, mankind, or do something in a, ritualistic black magic kind of way. And I just kind of wanted to interject that there's some kind of supernatural sentient thing that helps out with all of this too. You know what I mean? It's kind of bringing it back to a lot of the stuff we covered with the black goo, and how it had been used, and are in these stones of obelisks, and these this stuff is, they've put it in there. So I'm curious as to know if there's what more is in the construct of these columns, and how many more of these structures have something like that underneath, and what is driving it. You know what I'm saying? Like even with our guests that we've had on several times in LA, who watches the dragons, you know what I'm saying? The stones in that, the rock formations all around that Bay Area, all around that area, they're made of a certain type of black rock. There's something to it, and we've discussed too how there's a thought of maybe the stones themselves, the rocks within the ocean, and maybe that's what draws them to it in a supernatural way. And so I just kind of wanted to bring that up as an interesting thought pattern when we're talking about these mega structures that were built with that kind of technology for that purpose.
Well, and if we look at the technology that actually built the pyramid and whatever this structure is up under it versus what we have seen to this point, if you actually look at the hieroglyphics inside of some of these pyramids and the writing on the wall, you'll notice that there's different complexities. I'd say almost like different generations of people that carved some of these hieroglyphs in there. But if you had the technology to build all these pyramids all around the world, and at this time we supposedly don't have mass communication because we're supposed to believe that Egyptians were in chariots and horses. I mean, last time I checked, unless some of those hieroglyphs we're seeing with a cell phone are real, I don't think they built the pyramids. I think it was another one of those founded buildings, like many of those obelisks and large buildings that we see when you look at those plaques. They found those buildings, probably really had no idea what was up under them, and that's why they weren't used and their use recorded in their documents because they found them. They didn't know what they were.
Right.
Yeah, those were some of the original structures, I think, literally like first built in this world, and there's others out there as well.
Well, and if you'll look at where there's a great concentration of these pyramid type structures all around the world, look at the actual land that is around them. It seems to be barren in a lot of places. I mean, you've got sphinxes and pyramids in the Grand Canyon. You've got them in Egypt. You've got them in Mexico. And not all of them, but a good deal of these places, the land is barren. So
It's
are those shafts going under that pyramid? Are they negating the land and taking things out of it? Or did something happen that made it barren?
Well, one way to make a land barren is to destroy all the seed. And the only thing that can destroy all the seed would be a massive amount of heat. And a massive amount of heat like that would produce, there would be evidence left behind that something like that took place.
Well, in some of these places near these pyramids, when you go out there and you dig down, you will get these large chunks of colored glass. In order to turn sand into glass, you need to reach over 3,000 degrees. That would be thermonuclear weapon or greater. I mean, that's a lot of heat. And who's to say that whoever built those pyramids, there wasn't some type of world war at some of these different spots? Because just go to Google Earth and kind of zoom out on Africa and look at how barren it is, how brown. So my idea has become, is the pyramid sucking something out of this earth with whatever it's supposed to be transmitting? Or was there some kind of war that made the land barren? And if this one structure has that up under it, what do all the other ones have up under them? Because now when I see the structure up under it with these columns running miles into the earth, is that just the roof? Because the
Um,
Sphinx was buried up to her neck at one time. So who's the, or he, she, it, whatever it is, who is to say that this isn't just the roof, the transmit, the antenna off whatever that structure is?
Jamie Davern just said something that kind of triggered a thought in my head. You know how we have petrified tree remains, right? You know, where
Yeah.
the tree was once organic and growing, especially like the giant old ones that we've talked about, that are literally miles across and we're up in the heavens many miles. And again, down in the earth many miles with all kinds of root systems and stuff. But what I'm thinking is, well, let me show you her comment real quick. I think I heard Jamie, I think it's a girl. And she was saying maybe matter was less dense. What I'm wondering is the pyramids that we're looking at, are they in the original form or have they been altered by time and pressure and every other element that is applied in order to petrify like wood? Um, I'm just wondering if what we're looking at is actually what we think it is. Because when we look at granite, well, granite is in cases just petrified tree, um, petrified tree wood, and so it's like, could these have been giant? I mean, I'm just going way out there for a second because I'm not saying I believe this, but could there have been giant blocks of wood? Because we had plenty of trees around that were giant. And did they end up getting petrified during the flood? Maybe that might be just completely crazy. I don't know.
Well, I've looked at some of the quarries where they pulled this stone for these pyramids.
And yeah,
You've got stone coming hundreds and thousands of miles, half as big as a single wide mobile home. And I looked at a guy's equation the other day. Due to the quantity of the stones, you would have had to have physically set one stone every minute around the clock, 365 days a year, to have completed that pyramid in 10 years. That's just the stone. That has nothing to do with the outer casing that was on it or any of the internal structure. It would have taken millennia. Now, that's with current technology, if it was possible to
Oh,
move a stone
thank you.
that big. And you can't make me believe that they loaded a stone that big on logs and rolled it across the mountain in a desert. It's not possible.
Yeah, let me come off this one.
Hey, facts, we hear you.
He's having an issue.
I'm on my phone and laptop, so I'm just going to turn my phone off and stay on the laptop because it'll work. Sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
Okay.
When you look at when you look at the actual where they have, I looked at some stuff this weekend,
girls.
and where we see the hieroglyphs, there's hieroglyphs, and they all seem to be written in the same language, if that's what we're going to call it. But you can visibly tell that one set of them and the ones on the walls are a lot better than the other ones. So we've got multiple generations using that as like a hall or a temple or whatever they use that. It was not a tomb. And you've got
No tomb.
no, and you've got these big granite sarcophaguses in there. If you look at the measurements on them and the vases and the things that have been found in them, they are almost near perfection. They are within the width of a human hair of being of perfection, carved from one granite stone. And we're talking about a sarcophagus size of a pickup truck. We do not have the technology to do that today. It is absolutely impossible. There has been no, if that technology had been possible since those Egyptians, we would have it by now. And you can look at where those stones were cut from quarries because there's still some of them laying in the quarries of how they carved them. I mean,
So the reason for what I'm curious about is the functionality of why did they choose this stone? What did it add? What was this attribute that added? Why did they choose this design, the pyramid? Why did they choose this location? Was it ley lines? Why was it? Why? What are all the attributes that build up and allow them to have, you might say, superpowers or
okay, well,
enhance?
the stones
Or
at the big blocks are insulators. There was a coating, another stone on the outside, which was a quartz type stone. What is it called? It's the white one. It
calcite.
actually, yeah, it reflects the sunlight, and it is both of them are full of quartz. And we know that quartz on itself, just rubbing it together, can transmute energy from one thing to another.
We use
Everything you look
quartz
at looks as though those were some type of energy device.
we use quartz
Quartz
in
is,
our computers and all of our
Yeah,
devices.
all of our microchips.
yeah, quartz is petrified sunlight, you might say. It, if you take talking about petrified trees again, if you take the tree sap that comes out of that petrifies in the trees, it comes out as quartz. And quartz, of course, is used in communication, and it's used in keeping times, like in watches and all these things. So we know quartz obviously has some attributes that are really important to the whole big story here, which we're never going to figure out today necessarily, but we're investigating, we're discussing, and
Well, also to remind you guys that in the temple, the priests or I can't, what are they called? The holy guys that talk to him. My mind is drawing a blank. But anyways, wore a vest, a specific breastplate of specific stones. And that was to help them with whatever holy communication and protection and all kinds of things. And each one represented each tribe. And it was very specific.
Mhm.
So that helped in the communication to God wearing this thing.
Somehow it helped, yeah.
Eric, thank you.
Yeah, somehow it helped. I wanted to show this video that's related and not related that I've got here. It's related and not related. It's related because it demonstrates the power that exists underneath the earth. The power, the energy flow that exists that can be harnessed and can be turned into good or evil. In the case of what I'm getting ready to show you, they turned it into evil and they used it against the people. Some of you might have seen this video before, but I put this together way back, I don't know, 8 years ago, whenever it was that Paradise, California was burnt down. And I say was burnt down. And this will maybe ring a few bells in your minds when you're thinking about current, electricity, water, the elements, and how literally the ground can boil. You're going to see the ground boiling, not water boiling, but the ground, the soil literally boiling and turning to dust and floating away right in front of some firefighters' feet as they're watching it. So let's show the video real quick, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
It's finally dark outside, and now it's only a matter of throwing the switch.
3, 2, 1. Ilya Petrenko, RT.
Now take a look at what ground originated lightning can do to water. Well, I guess that says it all. Yeah, that was 7 years ago. This is what they're doing. And I thank God that He gave me the understandings to be able to see that, so that I could warn the people, so they would at least know the truth.
I don't think we all have an understanding to the depth of the whole electrical current frequency reality. I think a lot of that has been hidden from us. Even right on down to like we were talking about the other day, that the particular type of clothing you wear may inhibit it. I had a little experiment this weekend with a voltage meter, which was extremely interesting to me. And you know how when you get a new cell phone and all of a sudden you can't remember where you put the charger that come with it, so you plug into another charger and the phone just doesn't charge the same way. The battery doesn't hold up because the ampage or the voltage just wasn't quite what your phone was specified for. We took a voltage meter this weekend, barefooted. Now, when I had rubber soled shoes on, I had no voltage in the meter. Took them off. Mine averaged in the 30-ish range, is what it was showing voltage when I touched it. The person who was conducting the study with me, his ranged in the 70 range when he tested, barefooted. When we touched each other and held hands, we averaged at 50. When we let go, I was still at 50 and so was he, but I didn't decrease for quite some time. In the time it took for me to decrease back to my 30 volts, it took him the same amount of time to regain to the 70. Now, depending upon the type of contact, and we did it trying to, think particular thoughts, I could adjust my own frequency by myself just by adjusting my thoughts and the way I was breathing. So if
Yeah.
electricity is flowing through all of us, that simply imagine what it's doing through the earth
Mm-hmm.
and how that can be manipulated.
Huge, just absolutely massive. If y'all guys remember, back in about 1903, there was a huge explosion. They claimed a meteor or comet or something other come out in the heavens and come down and struck a part of Russia up in the Arctic area and blew up this big circle area, just wiped out everything, flattened it. And I think that was them experimenting with this kind of stuff. And of course, they killed quite a few people, and maybe it was bigger than they meant to do. But we also know that these guys don't care about lives, because we just watched the video and we all know in our hearts that they just do not care about us. We're just cattle and slaves in their minds. They somehow think because they've been able to hide and keep all this knowledge from us that somehow we deserve what we get. And if we can't see it or figure it out, we still deserve what we get. And I don't agree with that.
No.
But there's a lot to be figured out, that's for sure, about our bodies energetically, about how we can use that in order to fight back against the system. Because right now this Stargate AI, along with Palantir and all these other things we're up to, they're preparing to enter the final part of the temple, which is the mind. Neuralink, Starlink, all this stuff is all part of the overall system they're putting in place in order to not only enslave the physical bodies, but more importantly, you don't need to enslave the physical body if you can enslave the mind. Television was bad enough, but now they're obviously going for the holy grail, you might say.
Well, you
And
can actually take that voltage meter that I was playing with this weekend. You take one end of it and ground it into a household electrical socket. Just ground it. And you put it on voltage and you touch the red end. It's completely safe. It's grounded. But
yeah,
that's to measure your electronical charge. When you get near a Wi-Fi router, your voltage goes all to pieces.
Yeah.
mhm. And I bet too, certain kinds of clothes and certain kinds of lotions you might spread on your body.
Absolutely. If you
Certain,
have on any type of poly blend, your frequency was much lower. If you were in your birthday suit, it was much more regulated.
certain kinds of foods. Uh,
Emotion, food,
Emotion
alcohol,
is a huge. No, I've been
music.
saying this for a while, but it is. Emotion is your greatest, probably our greatest weapon that they're using against us when we could turn it and use it against them. Um,
Well,
they
on the voltage
keep
meter, I could sit there and force myself, to think about things that make you angry or upset versus a happy thought. You could see the voltage change. Me not moving, not changing anything other than my thought. It could change the voltage in my body. So imagine what they're doing at a theme park when you got 60 people on a roller coaster scared out of their mind, and you're sitting on that big old metal thing, sitting in a metal seat that they've got bolted to a ground. What are they taking from you? Why do you feel so wore out when you leave after you ride a ride or go to a theme park?
because you're emotionally dumped and they collected it just like
An energy
a
harvester.
zinc. You know,
I think
Monster Zinc.
I think a very important place to start is to be in fasting and in prayer and to really focus in on the kingdom of God and really asking the Holy Spirit to help show you what types of clothing should I be in more. Ask these things. Ask God. God's going to tell you. He will give you his voice when you are denying this flesh of all this stuff that we're so inundated and addicted to. And God's going to start telling us if we go inward into God, what it is that we need to do. What clothing should we get rid of? What things should we not wear every day? Helping us to keep some kind of a schedule where one day a week you go outside in the sun and put your feet in the dirt. But ask that guidance, and it's going to be a lot easier to understand and hear. And the discernment comes with that beginning step of fasting and prayer and just going in with God, closing that prayer closet door and just really inwardly focusing on that. That's a really good place to start. And all this stuff is going to come to you with the more research you do. If on our forums on our website is a really good place to start putting little things that have helped you throughout the day and in your prayer and your walk with God, and what information he's giving you to help us all kind of get beyond that same page. But I really think that's a good place to start.
For sure. Can I chime in and just say about the fun fairs and why you're drained after you've been on them? Because I believe the body's got like a torus field. I've just drew it. So it's like just a stick man, but it's basically just got energy coming off round it, like a butterfly or a fairy. So everyone's got it, male or female, just got that energy coming like a magnet, the two sides of a magnet. And I think these people, what they've done is, with these fun fairs, they know that they were on ley lines and the black goo, what you was talking about earlier. I'll talk about that after. But they know for a fact that it will drain your energy, and they can somehow harvest it or use it because you feel depleted, like and these maybe had a different purpose before they were turned into fun fairs, because like the traveling community in the UK were like travelers. They just live on the land, and they basically have got free electric. They found a way to do, like a dynamo on a bicycle. When you ride the wheel and it turns, it makes the light come on, and it's like free energy. You just turn the wheel, but you get more energy out than you put in. And they work this out, and that's why they're so discriminated against the government. But yeah, like the emotions, it definitely twirls with like my emotions when I go on these sort of like fun fairs or roller coasters.
Well, Disney, fun fact, a lot of their rides are built by the military industrial complex. So they're funded and built by them. And it's definitely just like these concerts or the Super Bowl or a lot of these big events, they're definitely energy harvesting things. And that's what they're doing. They're harnessing our energy like a battery for whatever purpose, but it's usually in the means of scaring you or traumatizing you. Of course, we've gotten so used to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love roller coasters. I'm a nerd for roller coasters, but at the same time, it does take a lot out of you. And it's hard because I know that, yeah, this is energy harvesting, and it is, and it's an adventure, but sometimes like the way they harvest it and they make money off of it, sometimes, I should say all the time, we're like batteries, like the Matrix.
And
Yeah, the Matrix.
when you say batteries, I think about cars. If the battery in your car is weak, you can't crank it. You're going to have to be jumped. If you have too big of a battery in your car, it'll blow fuses. You can't crank a car with a boat battery. Can't run a boat with a car battery. You can, but you know what I mean? It's not efficient. Our body is a battery, and it has to stay at its optimal prime charge. And there are things out there that deplete it and overload it. And I think once we all figure out that we are an energetic being, a battery that needs to be balanced, the only way to balance is to go back to Mother Earth. Put your feet on the ground, barefooted, skin to dirt.
100%, Roxy, and touch a tree, take your shoes off, get barefoot, and step on those big roots. And basically, what I showed there is just like a magnet, just like a battery. You've got the positive coming out the top and the negative grounding. That's why they call it the ground, Earth. Like in an electrical diagram, they have the picture for Earth because you're grounding your soul. Like they mock us all the time. It's horrific how they have played us.
And remember how they used to pick on people back in the day and they said, oh, they're just a tree hugger when they were talking about
Sure.
people trying to save the trees and one thing and another? I promise you,
Yeah.
you'll feel better if you go hug a tree.
And this is the thing, Roxy, every avenue, every road, they've made it so that you've got a red face if you go down that road, and like people will like look at you like you're strange because you're hugging a tree, or because you're walking barefoot, or because you might, be into eating or drinking certain things, bodily fluids or whatever. I don't know, but like what I'm saying is they've already got there before us, and they've already got an answer for it. And anything good they've turned into like negative. Like even the way we talk when we say, yeah, that's wicked, yeah, that's cool. Like, no, that's not wicked, that's not a good word. And cool, that's not a great word either. Like they have really sort of like laid all these traps in advance for us. So when we feel that we're sort of going down the right road, but they've already got to that road and
Put a booby trap.
Thank you, Rox. Yeah,
They
100%.
booby trapped it.
Yeah.
Well, and think about it generationally. Okay, I'm Gen X. I'm 50 years old. When I was a kid, we played in the dirt. We made mud pies. We threw dirt at each other. When you
My
come
friend
home of
Nate-
an evening, half the time you had to be hosed down by your parents. You were so nasty. I got 2 grandbabies. In their teenage, I don't know, but if once or twice that they played in the dirt like that because it's just not something they do. But you have so many pores on your skin. When a farmer farms land, depending upon the crop that he's going to put in, he will add or deduct whatever nutrient needs to be in that ground to have a good crop. So if we are indeed God's seed that he has grown, there are particular nutrients and things that we need. As children coming up, those things that you need, you can actually absorb a portion of them from water, from dirt, from the basic elements. Kids
Yeah.
don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And kids are
See,
much sicker on a populace. When you look at a whole populace, kids are much sicker today. And I know there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I feel like a good percentage of that is the disconnection from physical earth. Kids don't walk around barefooted anymore. They've all got Crocs on, rubber-soled shoes.
yeah, you would get like sort of like teased and say, oh, like you hippie, you sort of like tree hugger, or you like sort of like, like if you was like not a lot of my friends, a couple of my friends, they never wore shoes anywhere, and this was like 20-30 years ago, and yeah, they was very ostracized for doing that. And now I get it, like my friend's not on earth anymore, and I still talk to him and I say, Matt, you're so right. Like first thing I do, get in, shoes off, socks off, sit there. If I can get a chance to do it outside, I will do it outside. I'm not, it's very difficult because there's a lot of social pressure, and people, we've basically been taught to go against each other. Like if you have a running race, it's like 3, 2, 1, go, and then it's first, second, and third, and nothing else matters. And it's a real shame. We've just been taught from an early age to be competitive with each other instead of like there's other ways and other nationalities and other cultures that don't do it like that. I'll go it to maybe say that another day, but yeah, like it's a real shame that that's what we was taught from an early age. And as I think not Kim, as Soul 7 was saying about Disney, I never knew the military, but it doesn't surprise me. Like he's in it up to his neck, Walt Disney. He's yeah, there's do a whole
He's
show
fully
on
immersed. He's beyond neck.
that.
Well, excuse me, neck up's frozen now. He's just waiting until somebody figures it out how to take some of that juice he's been harvesting and reanimate him, maybe.
Well, like they say that the Walt Disney map has got a lot of resemblance, but I won't go into that. What I was going to say is, like, I didn't get a chance to finish off not last week, and I'm so sorry about that guy and the show and everything. Like, but yeah, no, like the golden dome over us. I believe that there's loads of like maybe like domes like beneath that where you go to a different area and you can just feel the energy is different and your body reacts different to certain areas. Like, and I believe that some of the stuff I was talking about the last show to do with the big golden dome over us, I believe they're intertwined. But sorry, Daniel, I never got a chance to say it. Like, yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that dome thing. I mean, every piece of this is all parts of the puzzle, and they'll use symbolism and other ways to show some of the truth about it. But ultimately, we're going to have to figure it out. And someone in the comments said, "Don't get lost in the sauce." And I'm thinking they could mean a lot of things. It's hard to know for sure in a like a text, what somebody means. But all I can say is that if I didn't spend the time trying to understand these things, I wouldn't be able to tell the people in like Paradise what happened there and how it happened. They got us all to put grounding rods on our house so that we wouldn't get struck by lightning. Yet, how many times does a house get struck by lightning to start with?
0.
But that grounding rod going in the earth taps via copper grounding rod. It taps any kind of if say they wanted to do what they did, it makes an open pathway right in through, because the way electrical boxes are done, you cannot, if the energy surge comes up the grounding rod, there's nothing, no breaker there to stop it. It goes right into the walls of the house, overloads it, and burns the house down. That's why the houses are all burnt down in these places, while the trees standing all around the house and the grass and the bushes are all green. That's one of the methods they're using. Obviously, they can attack from above as well. But in the case of paradise, because when you see trees that are burnt out from the inside out, and they still got green leaves on them, and the trees around them are still green, but the inside of the tree is on fire, you know there's something coming from below. The same thing goes with the culverts that were in the ditches that were made out of concrete in paradise. They all have that rebar wrapped around in there, kind of like a Tesla coil, and they all shattered. All the culverts that were underground in paradise had to be replaced. And all the trees, they went in and cut them all down. I've even got a video I did where I said 8,888 trees burnt from the inside out. They took all the trees and they hauled them down to this lumber yard not too far from paradise. They were all stacked up, and I got a couple of photos of it, and all of them are burned out in the center, all of the trees, yet the bark is still on the trees.
That's the first time Sorry, Daniel. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just going to say, I was just going to say that's why it's been put on me as my duty to the world to try to understand these things. So I understand, don't get lost in the sauce kind of concept and keep focused on the Father. But this is what the mission has been put on me. I know this is why I'm here still and why I'm still alive. So I hope you understand, all of us have different missions. This is mine.
Look, Daniel, that's the first time I've ever heard that it comes up from the ground, but it makes so much sense, because if you put 2 pieces of copper or iron in the ground and take a measurement with an electrical multimeter, it will give you a reading the same way as if you hold it with a multimeter with your left hand and right hand, that your heart beats, and it'll also give you an electrical pulse that will tell you how much voltage is going around your body, and the same with the earth. So all they'd have to do is exactly what, like you said it without saying it, they just manipulate that, goes straight up through the lightning rods that are meant to protect it from above, but really it's a ruse. Yeah, that first time I've ever heard it, but just makes total sense to me.
Yeah,
like,
that was discoveries that I made back around 2017, when it really come to realize exactly what was going on and how they were actually pulling it off. It's literally an invisible firestorm. I think they did the same thing in Hawaii. They did the same exact thing in Hawaii, because again, there's multiple weapons used. This is one of them, the terrestrial standing band wave weapon. They used it in Hawaii as well, because there were a lot of trees that were burnt from the inside out, and the leaves still on the trees looking perfectly healthy after the fire was over with, and yet the inside of the trees are on fire. That tells me that they used that there as well, along with some weapons from above, because they have to be able to get to the automobiles and other things, and so you're going to have some weapons from above as well.
I did see an interesting video during the LA fires, that there was this one home that had a guest house in the back, but the first house had a meter on it, like the evil, Edison meters, and the back house didn't. The back house was perfect and still standing, but the other house and its surroundings were just gone.
That's right.
And
Sorry, I was just
a good way to communicate with the homes anyways.
Say to the guy that said don't get lost in the source, we've got to put all the equation on the table. We need to gather as much information as we can and discard what's not relevant. And then, as Sherlock Holmes said, whatever's left is really what you've got to work with. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you there, sister.
That was perfect timing. That was good.
Okay, cool.
And just to clarify about the lightning rods, because Olivia in the comments was saying something. Yeah, lightning rods are effective for lightning strikes for the most part, but there's an ulterior motive as to why they've done it. I mean, it's like you install lightning rods in every house in the entire country, and how many of those houses would have burned down from lightning? But yet you've got every house in the country. It's kind of like the lead paint thing. You see, when I was in the real estate business as a realtor, you had to have inspections to make sure there was no lead paint in the homes. And why is that? They say, oh, because the children will eat the paint and it'll poison them. Really? The children are going to gnaw on the walls. Okay, maybe, right? And in one case out of a million, but every house in the entire country is not allowed to have lead paint for that one or two children that are going to maybe do something silly.
They don't want you to have a home-built Faraday cage.
Exactly. It's about the Faraday cage that the lead paint represented and created in your home. The lead paint in a home made your home a Faraday cage, and it protected you from all outside Wi-Fi and cellular influence on your bodies. This is why they got rid of it.
Correct, 100.
Yeah.
You still get some of that on like the black market or something,
Right?
I don't know. Maybe we should find a company that's got some.
Yeah.
everything else.
Anybody out there some lead paint at?
Yeah, I think this is why they put up like sort of like precious metals, like obviously gold, silver, then and platinum, but then you've got like copper, aluminium, lead, brass. They rise prices on it to buy it back off people, and people just go out collecting it and taking it out the back of TVs. They're literally look. I don't know how to put it into words, but we have got very little choices. Like they have got their fingers in every pie, and yeah.
Well, I think this is one of the important reasons that shows like ours exist. One of the reasons we are supposed to teach our children history is so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the people before us. So if people are constantly altering, changing, and deleting what we know as real history, nobody has to take admission of, oh, I made a mistake. We shouldn't do it that way again. We have to mark these things down and put them there now so that the people that come behind us can see.
This is the
Interesting
thing,
you
Roxy.
say that. Though, real
Sorry,
quick,
go on.
is Elon Musk today on X or whatever the heck you call it anymore, put a post up about how he was playing with some new AI app or whatever
Right.
of altering historical pictures and how easy it was and blah blah blah. And I just interesting you brought that up today. I mean, I know this has already been happening for quite some time, slowly but surely on the internet, altering history, but now it's like, hey, anybody can get this app and have fun playing with altering history. And who's to say somebody who doesn't know any better is going to go, that's totally real.
Well, and one of my first history mysteries that I went down into was the American Indians. Everything they taught us in school, it's a lie. It is an absolute and total lie.
Mhm.
Our people came into this country, to a country where other people already lived, had trade routes set up. They traded with Middle Eastern countries. They treated the land in a wholesome way. They would live in one spot for a generation and then they would move. When their wise man or shaman or whoever it was in their tribe was getting older, they would physically pick up their tribe and move because they felt like at that point that they had taken everything from the land that they could get and they needed to move on so that should replenish. That ain't nothing about what we were taught. We taught that this dude named Christopher Columbus come over here in a boat and found this place and they named it after Americo Vespucci.
And
No, there's maps with America on it long before him.
there were no humans here.
Yeah, no, There's pyramids here, people. They're in the Grand Canyon.
They're also up in where the Mississippi and the Missouri River come together, right there in Illinois, where the last two eclipses crossed. There are pyramids there and Egyptian antiquities there as well.
There's pyramids in Kentucky. In Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere. And now that we've got new LiDAR on Google Earth, and it kind of removes the trees for you, and you can see the outline of things, Lord only knows what we're going to discover, because some people just love to sit around on Google Earth and dig and look for the patterns in the ground.
Yeah,
But,
that
I mean,
LiDAR is a game changer. Sorry, Roxy, but that is a game changer, that LiDAR. It really does. It's a game changer.
well, in Mexico, some of the pyramids and temples that they have over there, one of them is sitting on top of a mercury lake. For what purpose? We've already seen how smart they were. They didn't build it there for no intention, so what was the point? It's got more to do with this energy transmission. They don't want us to know about free energy. Energy is all around you, it's within you. But as long as we're dependent upon their energy grid and their communication system, they have control. This is no lie. The guy that used to live around the corner from me, I was told the other day, he was a little different, but he had him a bicycle. And that's where he got his power from. He pedaled his bicycle. Ori Electric Company come in and took that man's bicycle, told him that wasn't allowed. They come and took that poor man's bicycle. He was a little schizophrenic, but that was his thing. That's kind of how he maintained. He'd get on his bicycle and he'd just ride and ride and ride. They come and took his bicycle. They told him he couldn't make his own power.
But
Yep, they took his bicycle.
no.
You can take 2 magnets, 2 pieces of wire, and a light bulb and have free light. You could take magnets on a subway train down a metal rail and have a subway that run completely energy efficient. You could put magnets on the roadway with cars, and it would be energy efficient, but they can't make money off a magnet.
You can also go out and tap into the energy that's coming from the light from trees. You can run LED lights off of, if you install a wire, and I know some people say don't hurt the tree, but if you install a wire into on one side of the tree and on the other side of the tree, install the positive and negative, and hook up an LED light, it'll run that light for you. So light your backyard for free. So if you got trees in your backyard, go try it out. I've seen it done, and yeah, it's a real thing. Of course, you would think, of course, there's energy that's coming into that tree through the leaves, and photosynthesis coming in through the leaves, and it stores it in the sap of the tree, and the tree itself is energetic. Of course, it is, and so there's lights right there for you.
I've also seen, Daniel, that experiments people have done on YouTube where they've got 2 copper wires, a helium balloon, and just let the 2 copper wires attached to the helium balloon with a coil go up as high as they can and measure it with an electric multimeter, and they're getting like enough voltage to, light your whole house with.
Yeah, the higher you go and the lower you go, it works very similarly. That's why Tesla was all about going low and going high, is because of that. Just like with the pyramids, they're going very, very low and very high at the same time, because that's where you get the max amount of voltage, which is partly why trees work, because they have root systems go way down into the water, and the canopy with the tree is sticking 100 foot up in the air, 150 foot, according to what kind of tree it is. It's the same thing all over again. It's the torus field, the positive and the negative. And the further you separate them apart from each other, the greater the energy it produces is. And this is all around us. And we literally are paying the electrical companies for nothing. Because if we would really focus our energy and our time in figuring these things out, we wouldn't need them.
But I think we can take that same energy we're talking about and focus it to communicate with each other.
That's part of the conversation as well, of course. Absolutely.
I mean,
sorry, go on, Rox. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
If we can just imagine what that would do economically if all of a sudden we discovered you no longer needed cell phones, the internet, or Wi-Fi. Imagine what that would do economically to this world. When you're talking
So
about that kind of economical detriment to established businesses and established hierarchies, they are not going to let that information get out, and they're going to do everything in their power to suppress it.
see, why at school then was they just getting us to get like leaves and put paint on them and put them on a piece of paper when we should have really, like, we trusted these people and like they trusted the people that taught them, and really like we so- know how the tree, what Daniel says, how it actually works. It's photosynthesis. It's got light coming through it. And it even looks like a human veins. Like you can look at the tree. It's got roots, and you can look. Yeah, like they look very similar to the internal organ parts of our body.
The roots in the trees with humans, with us, and with other animals, our roots are internal. So instead of the tree puts its roots into the soil, but we put the soil into our roots. We just do it the opposite way. Our stomach, our intestines are the roots. And that
Like,
way when you've got stomach problems, you know what you need to go eat or hunt down, which is our roots. Roots are medicine for your stomach, and of course we'll go into a whole nother conversation as well. But absolutely, you can. The tree itself, there's a reason why the Bible and the Garden of Eden and talked about trees. It's like, what's so fantastic about a tree? Uh, it's everything is there. Everything to be known is there. Why was there a serpent wrapped around the outside of the tree? Because the serpent represents electricity. It represents energy flow, just like a Tesla coil with the like the trunk in the middle with the coil wrapped around it. The tighter the coil is, the tighter the serpent holds on, the greater the amount of electricity and energy. All these secrets are right there. The Bible's true. You just have to understand how to read it and get an open mind and release everything that you were ever told before and read it with new eyes, and you can start to understand it.
and that's right, Daniel. If you go to a big power station and you hear the hum of what the power station is making, it sounds more or less identical to a snake. And as you say, the sine wave of electricity for AC or DC is exactly the same way a snake moves.
We
Yep.
were saying that a while ago, Shannon, about these electrical cars, that hum that comes off of them, that it's
It,
irritating.
it literally sounds like a demonic choir. There's no other way to explain it. It's like the creepiest demonic sounding choir, like voices of.
Oh, I know what I wanted to bring up. I completely forgot since we're talking about sound. There was a young man yesterday. I don't know what I saw him on, but you know how we were talking about the stained glass windows of churches? You know, they have uh, flowers and they have different things that they represent. If
Yeah.
you, I never thought about this. If you look at churches and buildings that have those stained glass windows, all from an older time, the majority of them in an area will have a particular flower or symbol that is the same. If that flower actually represents the frequency that that building conducts, you would know what frequency to go in and sing at to conduct electricity in harmony.
Hmm.
Those are markers.
Yeah, because that's why they call it organs. They say, oh, the organ inside the church, and we've got
Yeah.
internal body parts that are called organs. But maybe another day, my friend Obsidian Alice has made a whole video on churches and cathedrals and the reason that they're actually called that and this and that, and got into a big hoo-ha with the National Trust in the United Kingdom because they'd removed, funny enough, all the flowers from the outside of the church and put gargoyles in their place.
Well, think about it from the fact that when you go to church, let's just say you're not feeling good that day, not necessarily anything particularly, you just don't feel good that day. You go into church, everybody sings, it's beautiful, it's harmonized. When you leave, you feel better. if that frequency and that music has healing power within that cathedral, in that shape of that ceiling or that roof, there's your answer.
I don't know
It's
whose
the
YouTube channel.
fellowship.
And
Sorry,
related
Tom.
to that, I discovered a few years ago that Fax was talking about, and Rox was talking about the churches and the harmony and the organs and that. But the original tabernacle, Moses' tabernacle, and also the Solomon's temple, and also all of the Catholic basilicas and all of these old temples, no matter what religion you go to, if you look at them, they ultimately are in the image of the human body. It'll be a man or a woman laying on its back, and you enter in through the genital area is where you enter in through. The two pillars in the front of the entry represent the legs, and then you enter in through the genital area, and you enter in into what's called the holy area or the holy place, which is from the genital area up to your shoulders, basically. And then the back, they're always in the back. You got that raised area that goes up steps, which represent the vertebrae in the neck, and you enter into the Holy of Holies. And then they'll have what they call, like with the Solomon's temple, it had down the side of on each side of the temple, it had what was called the priest's quarters. And it was separate little, you might say, offices that were down the side of the body, which represented the arms. The priests were the arms, the ability to do things of the church, of the temple. And so again, that's why they were represented by the arms and the hands that was the way the buildings were built. So everything, it seems, is based on the study of our bodies, realizing that we are in the image of God, but we are also the world, and everything is all following the same system. It's just not evident at first glance how to see it. That's like looking at a tree and saying, okay, the roots are down there on the tree and the crown is up there. For us, our roots are inside, and we stand on two trees, and we have our crown up here where our head's at, which is the most powerful part of the body, of course, the mind itself. When you look at the stars in the heavens, they're all sitting on nodal points. They stay on those nodal points and they don't leave them. And the reason for that is because, again, it's in the image of us. The nodal points, the synapses inside of our mind are just like that as well. And of course, we have the dome that is above that, and the stars are all there with it. It's everything is all in the image of us. If we can start to realize that, I've had people get raging mad at me talking about how that kind of information, that kind of understanding, and I don't know why it makes people sometimes really angry, but I guess
A lot of people get angry when they don't fully comprehend things.
Yeah, no,
Not that
100%.
they're mad about it. It's just an aggravation with not understanding. It doesn't seem real to them that's what really is possible.
I agree. The thing that I have not a problem with, the thing that bamboozles me, or like, is that people from all over the earth will come out with exactly the same answers. What does it matter? How does it affect me? What's it going to change it? They've got these like set of 10 answers they'll give you. And it's just like, but you lot don't even know each other. You've never even met, but you exactly said the same answers. And yeah, it's that always sort of like
called domestication in television.
Well, part of this system has been set up that you are so busy getting up, getting dressed, get the kids ready, go to work, come home. You got to clean the house, feed the kids, do your homework, take a shower, fall down, and do it again 5 days a week. And as long as you're exhausted and wore out on your weekend,
I was gonna say
you don't have time to look or investigate further. And as long as you've got your blinders on, they can keep on leading you down this alley like they lead all these sheep that are asleep. And I think the world's waking up a little more, but I think everybody needs to wake up, start looking, start researching, and
Yep.
don't just trust
that-
the first source you go to. Go look at 10, see what everybody's answer was.
what
Shannon,
I
did
was thinking. Sorry, Dan.
Oh, I was just going to say word magic, etymology, just even the way we talk about getting up in the morning, which is what you do when you're lamenting a death. Your weekdays, so you're weakening in your days, and then the weekend. I mean, they all have connotation when you really think about the etymology behind it. And when you're saying that, like, hello, or, these kinds of things, when you're talking about your job and your everyday life, it's word magic. And
or the words, think about all the words that have the letter S in it, the sound of the serpent. If you really spend some time thinking about the words that have the serpent sound, of course, the word serpent has the S in it. And I can't say I understand it exactly as to why, but I know it means something. There's a lot of profanity words, like even like the letter X. You got again an X. And why is it now that Twitter is X? And why did he name his son X? And why is everything about the serpent when it comes to Elon and that sound? It's just, think about all the slang words for the human body, like the female, male, and everything. You're going to find the s over and over and over and over in everything. So yeah, word magic, and even syllable magic, which is part again of word magic, and spelling, which is why they call it spelling in the English language, because you're casting spells. You just don't even know it. And this is another reason why I try to keep myself from cussing.
like when you earn a living, what's in an urn?
Wow. Oh, yeah.
It's all word magic into death. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think we've about taken this long enough day. Okay. And so I think we will wrap up here, and because I think we've given people enough to think about for today. And we need to go back and reevaluate everything that we've all been talking about, everything we've learned from each other, that we've learned from some of the comments that are coming in. Y'all guys in the comments are on the ball, and we greatly appreciate you being here. We really didn't get too much in the way of bringing people on stage, except for Facts, which happens to have the magic link. and we appreciate you being here too, brother. So thank you for dropping. And sorry we didn't get to anybody else out there bringing them in like Max or anybody else, but we love you guys. And we'll be back. Remember, we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, about 2 o'clock, or close as we can get. 2 o'clock, we're trying to hit 2. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be here, and hopefully expanding very soon, even further than that.
Go hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the store. Pick you up a T-shirt.
And the share button.
And the share, please.
Yeah, and the share button. We need to get this message out to people. Not enough people are hearing this, and we enjoy having these conversations with you, but we want to make sure that everybody hears this.
And please sign up for the Beyond the Veil area of the website, or on YouTube, or on Patreon, because we're doing videos and releasing them of off-the-cuff conversations and other types of videos. And some of the shows, the back half of some of the shows coming in the near future, are only going to be for members, because we need to try to survive here. And with YouTube shadow banning this kind of work, they don't want it. We need, and we must have, y'all guys' support. Everybody here is working literally for free, and I'm working close to for free. So with that being said, please support this work somehow, some way. even if it's just $1 a month. Somehow, some way, you can become a member of the channel, member of the website, member of Patreon. Individual donations over time are greatly appreciated too, but month to month, smaller donation would be greatly appreciated to support this. If you like it, you've been here for an hour and 30 minutes listening, so obviously this is a place you want to be, and this is the kind of conversation that you appreciate.
And I guarantee you'll get more out of this at $9.99 a month than you would out of any Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
And the ones that's watching on Facebook on Logic Before Authority, he's now accepting stars. Stars helps him earn money to do more content with.
Yeah, on Facebook, we Miss Kim is handling Facebook for me, and I guess there's this stars thing where you can send stars, and it does something for me apparently. So
there we go.
We love you guys. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Miss Kim. Thank you, Shannon, and thank Fax for being here, and
Leslie.
Oh yes, and Leslie. I keep forgetting she's there. She's here too. She's just off stage at the moment. But we love you guys, and we'll see you real soon. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2:00 Eastern time, here on the Supernatural Show. Bye for now, guys.